Tet inspires foreigners. Vietnam News chats with some foreigners about their Tet Lunar New Year experience in Vietnam. Saudi Salama, Ambassador of Palestine to Vietnam. This is my 19th Tet in Vietnam in the past 40 years that I have a close relationship with the country, and 18 years I have worked and resided in Vietnam between the periods of 1980 to 1984. 1989 to 1992, and since 2010 up to present. My first Tet in Vietnam impressed me most, and I will never forget it. In the last lunar day in the 1980s, I saw strange things in Vietnam that I had not seen in the previous 3 months. I took a walk around the old quarter. I watched branches of peach blossoms and tried to understand their meaning. The last lunar day of that year was a special day when people flocked to Hon Kiem Lake to welcome the Lunar New Year. At that time, on New Year's Eve, the sound of crackers echoed here and there all over the city brought me strange feelings. I started to understand more about Vietnamese customs. A friend of mine told me on the first day of the new year I should not invite anyone home or go out, as people care a lot about the first person to enter their home. I think the atmosphere of the Tet in 1980 to 85 was more cheerful and meaningful even than today, as Tet was a chance for people to enjoy what they have done in the past year. Industrialization is an encouraging sign for economic growth, but it also contributed to the fading of traditional Tet features. Vietnamese Tet has national features. Not religious features like in Palestine, but both peoples take great care of family reunions, enjoy parties together, wish one another good luck, and give one another lucky money. I can describe Vietnamese Tet in some words: solidarity, humanity, kindness, and forgiveness. Though Tet happens on only some days, but during that time, everyone wants to return home to welcome the new year with their families. From mountains to busy cities, all ethnic groups in the country long for the traditional Tet festival and maintain the customs. That's the solidarity. When the Lunar New Year arrives, people forget sorrows, hatred. Spare good words to one another and share things with needy people. That's the humanity and forgiveness of the Tet. I hope Vietnam will maintain her success in dealing with the pandemic so that in the new Lunar New Year we will return to normal life as before the pandemic. Vietnam has been a good example in not only controlling COVID-19 but also in gaining a considerable GDP growth in comparison with other nations. I hope 2021 will be a year that the whole world will be free of COVID and live in peace. As a Palestinian, I desire peace for my country as that in Vietnam. Amanda Carlia, Canadian, Content Manager, Vietnam Tourism Advisory Board. My first Tet in Vietnam was back in 2015. It was a marvel to witness. The excitement of everyone and the transformation of the city, especially the traffic, was quite a whirlwind. I still love to this day when the cherry blossom branches start appearing all over Hanoi. To me, it's a sign of some well-earned time off and the anticipation of a new lunar year. I usually love to spend my Tet exploring a new place in Vietnam when the roads are empty and people flock to their hometowns. I find the spirit of Tet is always so very generous and welcoming. One Tet I spent in Sapa, my guide was constantly providing me with shots of rice wine mid-hike and answering his calls with Chuk Mung Nam Moi. When in Phu Yen Province, I was the first guest at a city hotel and shared snacks and tea with the family in the morning. That afternoon, I went to Bai Mon Beach and sat in the sunshine reading. Before an older gentleman offered me Li Shi and gave me a handshake and kind words. I love the sense of a new beginning at Tet, so much so I stopped caring as much about New Year's Eve. as it's not the real deal until we will see the outbreak in Vietnam fully contained, reunite with friends and travel again freely and safely. I will spend mine at home in Hanoi, going for walks and enjoying the time I have with my partner. Sonia Fursova, Russian, singer. This year's Tet will be our third in Vietnam. Our first Tet holiday was in 2018 in Ho Chi Minh City. That year Ho Chi Minh City was very beautiful during Tet. The whole Nguyen Hue walking street was filled with beautiful flowers, plants and statues made of flowers. All people were wearing beautiful colorful áo dai and it was really one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. During the Tet holidays, almost all families were singing karaoke at home and having a wonderful time together. The second Tet holiday was last year in Hanoi. It was also very beautiful and colorful. People were walking around Hoan Kiem Lake and there were many festive occasions in different parts of Hanoi. However, the festive occasions were abrupted very quickly due to COVID-19. So the end of Tet was very quiet. This year is my third Tet in Vietnam and we'll celebrate it in Hanoi. Before I thought this year's Tet will be very loud and full of people. But because of the new COVID-19 wave it seems like this year's Tet will be a quiet Tet. However, I still see many people preparing for Tet as usual, cleaning their houses, buying Tet special goods and food, so hopefully, everyone will still have a very wonderful time during this Tet and have a warm and happy time at home with their families. For me, Tet has become a very special occasion. I feel it is like a celebration of spring coming, blooming of the flowers and new intentions, dreams. I even record Mu Wa Moi Zon to be part of this beautiful festival. This year I had a chance to try Bon Chung, as well as Mut and Oh Mai for the first time. I will also cook Bon Chung with my Vietnamese friend and her family. Now I live in the same house with a Vietnamese family. So maybe I can celebrate Tet with them and sing beautiful Vietnamese and Russian songs together. If I have a chance I might go and buy some special beautiful áo dai dress, to feel like I'm part of this amazing celebration even more. Lee Bang-hyun, Korean, Strategy Planning Manager of Everin. I'm planning to spend more time with close friends and family. Initially, I had plans to travel outside of Hanoi, but under current circumstances, it's better to stay within Hanoi and maybe go on nearby trips with my friends. As a resident of Hanoi, I'm familiar with Tet gifts that Vietnamese exchange with one another. But without being invited to family houses it would be difficult to actually experience the authentic Vietnamese Tet culture. So I haven't experienced it so far. Exchanging gifts between friends for Tet is definitely different from Korea and I really like this local culture. Koreans are now busy making overseas travel plans over Lunar New Year, so taking time and effort to relate to others during Tet in Vietnam makes the holiday more special. For the new year, I wish a cleaner Hanoi to everyone. I think one benefit of COVID-19 is that it reduced the pollution level of the city and made a huge difference to the quality of living. I hope this year Hanoi and all Vietnamese cities can keep help of COVID-19 to benefit all its residents, including me. Vanessa Mulheim, French. News copy editor and presenter. I've been living in Vietnam for more than 10 years so I know Tet. For me Tet is a little bit like Christmas holidays. It's a time for family members to gather and spend some time together, to break bread and share a big meal. For my first Tet, I remember going to the flower market in Nha Tan and being completely mesmerized by the landscape. It was truly breathtaking. I usually spend Tet at my husband's place and we always have amazing food. The Mamco is usually insanely big and I got to try so many different dishes that you usually don't get to taste during the year. I also particularly enjoy seeing all the women wearing áo dai for the occasion. It's such a beautiful garment, such a beautiful garment. One of the things, however, that I dislike about the Tet holidays is that everything just kind of freezes. Almost all the shops, cafes and restaurants close down. And the weather is usually rainy and cold. It's a bit depressing. Last year, because of COVID-19, Tet lasted a very long time, almost 6 months. Jokes aside, but this year our family is thinking about maybe going to the beach, Hoi An or Phu Quoc for a change. France is more for our Christmas holidays or for summer vacations. During Tet I usually help my mother-in-law with shopping and cooking. I also want my children to understand the tradition so that they both grow up knowing about both Vietnamese and French culture. On the first day of the new year, we traditionally go back to my husband's countryside and meet up with the big áo dai, me and my daughter as well. And the kids get to have lucky money. It's a lot of fun. It's the highlight of our Tet holidays, really. Holly Coles, Australian, self-employed movement educator. This will be my first Tet here. While people tend to overindulge in feasts over the new year, I am going in the opposite direction. With a plan to do a 7 to 10 day pure fast that consists of only water. Partly because it's a good time of the year when gyms are closed and the weather isn't good for outdoor exercise. It's an appropriate time for laying low and fasting, and also it's a good emotional and mental cleanse. Having lived in China for more than 5 years, it's not my first time experiencing Lunar New Year. However, I prefer staying in rather than traveling because I love how the city becomes blissfully quiet. As a business owner, I usually work through the holidays. It was a good time to catch up without any distractions. I'm not a fan of overconsumption, so I forego big celebrations. People consume more of the planet than necessary, resulting in too much waste with plastic packaging. It lasts 2 seconds for pleasure and unfortunately a lifetime as landfill. With my strong guidelines on health and minimalism, my wishes to anyone and everyone with celebrations is to be more conscious. Maybe even shifting to celebrating in ways like donating time or money to charitable causes, or just enjoying time with family without the hyper-consumption. Corey Michaud, American, owner of Zenith Restaurant. As Tet approaches, it's hard not to sense a certain feeling of excitement in the air. Local people seem to be cheerful about the possibilities of the new year around the corner and the opportunity to break away from everyday life and travel home. This Tet I will be working in the cafe, hoping to feed the folks who aren't able to travel home or go on holiday due to the COVID-19 resurgence. This year will be my first experience of Tet in Vietnam. Last year I was in Thailand, Chiang Mai. The city was lively and full of visitors from around Asia. I'm looking forward to experiencing Tet the Vietnamese way. I have a few friends who have invited me to their home to share a family dinner with them during Tet. It will be nice to learn about the local traditions and taste all the interesting and delicious delicacies made specifically for the holidays. I think my wish for this new year is for 2021 to be full of healing. Hopefully by the end of this year, globally we can get back to some sense of normal. So this time next year we can all travel worry-free and spend time with our families.